What's happening, everybody? It's Trey here, joined again by my dad Sean, and today reactions to the classics. We're going to keep on trekking with the Doors discography up to Morrison Hotel. If this is your first time stopping by the channel, we appreciate it. Here at Reactions to the Classics, we take a look back at some of the most classic albums of all time, do detailed track-by-track reviews of them, and just like today, it's usually the first time we've heard the record. And if that sounds like something interesting to you, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button, and you can also link up with us on our Facebook page and the link below, as well as our Patreon if you'd like to support us there. And all that to say, let's just get into the quick facts.
Well, it's their fifth studio album, released in February of 1970, went to number 4 in the US, number 12 in the UK, which surprisingly enough was their highest charting album in the UK. And Trey, this takes a step back towards traditional Doors sound. Their last offering, The Soft Parade, they listened to Paul A. Rothchild, who brought in the brass and all of that stuff, and they decided they wanted to kick it back to Doors music.
Yeah, and we have an interesting story with the cover.
Yeah, we do.
They went down to Morrison Hotel, which is in downtown Los Angeles. They wanted to take a photo there. Hotel wouldn't let them, so they waited until the clerk at the front desk was called away. They hurried up behind the window that says Morrison Hotel. Photograph was shot, and then on the back they took a photo at the Hard Rock Cafe. No relation to the restaurant chain that is called the Hard Rock Cafe, but the founders of the restaurant chain Hard Rock Cafe saw this on the back of the Morrison Hotel album cover, and that gave them inspiration. So kind of a neat little story there, just how that all connects.
So that takes us to side A, called Hard Rock Cafe. The first track, Roadhouse Blues. We get off in a different kind of vein than we did on The Soft Parade. They did several takes of this over several days because Paul A. Rothchild wanted that perfection, just like he did on the previous album. Morrison, who they said apparently was intoxicated, which he was, through most of the album, kept repeating the line, "Money beats soul" every time.
And here you notice right off the bat Krieger's fantastic guitar, and then we have Manzarek started off on an electric piano, moved to a tapped piano, the same one that was actually used on the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations. And you also have Lovin' Spoonful ex-frontman John Sebastian on the harmonica, which I enjoyed that harmonica bit. The synergy and just the musical backing here was a lot more intriguing and had that more traditional Doors sound than what we were used to on The Soft Parade. So I already liked the direction right away from what we were going to there.
Agreed.
We had that Morrison line, "The future's uncertain and the end is always near." One of his more lines that are an enigma. So I enjoyed it. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was really good as well. I think it's kind of funny in there in the middle of the song. He just starts spouting some nonsensical words in there. I'm like, all right, we're in for a different run. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. That takes us to a different kind of song from, we're going to dial it back a little bit, Waiting for the Sun, which is supposed to be the title track of that album.
I thought the guitar riff at certain points just was fantastic, had a psychedelic tinge as well. This was one of my favorite tracks on the record.
Yeah, I liked it as well, and I think the instrumentation and sound on it really could have belonged on their debut. I think that's kind of where it fit.
Oh, definitely.
And that's going to take us to You Make Me Real. It's written by Morrison. It's one of his earliest compositions, dating from 1966. He really wants her because she makes him feel real. For me, this was just okay. I thought the instruments on this was very good, and I thought the instrumentation on the album as a whole, that's a recurring theme, are very much on a high level.
Yeah, this was a decent track, but it reminded me a little bit of Bad Boy from the Beatles, the cover of that.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of a rockabilly type feel to it, which is something you normally don't have with the Doors, and who knows, maybe I'm crazy, but that's the vibe I was getting from that. Then we go to another one of my favorites, Peace Frog.
Exactly. That's a great track, man.
Oh, absolutely, and it's a lot of the lines start with like blood on the whatever, and Morrison's phrasing in this song, just the way he delivers his lines, is fantastic. And you have the synergy of the electric guitar and organ, and it had a funky type of vibe to it, a new type of sound with the Doors, but they kept their roots there, which is something that I couldn't say on The Soft Parade, but here I appreciated.
Yeah, and it's only 2 minutes 59 seconds. I actually wished it was a little bit longer. Sometimes with the Doors tracks, you're going to hear me say the opposite, but for this one, I wish it would have went on a little bit longer. A lot going on in that 2:59. Towards the end of it, he has a spoken word part about the wreck he saw as a little kid with the Indians scattered all over the road. So I thought it was just an excellent offering. That's going to take us to Blues Sunday. It's written for Pamela, most likely. It's stripped back instrumentation. It's only a little over 2 minutes long. Stripped back instrumentation, so it really showcases Jim's voice, and we don't get that a lot of times. So I thought that was a good performance by him.
Yeah, it definitely is different than a lot of the A-side. Lyrics are a bit basic, but like you said, it's just a short tune that segues us into a different musical style. I didn't enjoy it as much as the other love song found on the B-side, but it's still a decent track nonetheless. Then that's going to move us on to
Ship of Fools, which is credited in the writing credits to Morrison and Krieger. Jim's voice is more upbeat. There's a big organ in this thing. We're getting this thing rocking.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the organ, I think this, you could argue, is Manzarek's highlight on this record.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
And lyrically, it's talking about how the world's kind of going to hell, essentially, and maybe the ship's going to be the safe haven for these people. A solid way to end out that A-side, a bit more bombastic. I like the contrast between that and Blue Sunday. Then we're going to start off the B-side, the Morrison Hotel side with Land Ho.
It's written also by Morrison and Krieger. Got a really good guitar on here. Very good vibe to it. I really like this song.
Yeah, the groove here was fantastic. It's a song you just want to get up, clap along to, and that underlying Krieger guitar work just highlights the record quite a bit. And the story here was interesting because the guy notes what he would do with certain amounts of money. A good one to follow along with the lyric sheet too. A solid way to start off this B-side. We're going to move on to track 8 now.
The Spy.
Notes his troubled relationship with Pamela Corson. Originally it was going to be called Spy in the House of Love, a line borrowed from a novel published in '54. Morrison here goes again with the cautious line, I know your deepest secret fears. And I did enjoy this track, barring one thing. I think that the piano here took away some of that ominous type of vibe that they were going for. If you took away the piano, I think it would have hit a bigger chord, but besides that, it was a solid track.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I hadn't thought about that. It's more bluesy than a lot of the tracks on here. For me, it was just okay. I think you would probably liked it better than I did, but that takes us into Queen of the Highway, also written by Morrison and Krieger. Like The Spy, it also celebrates Morrison's intense but obviously troubled relationship with Pamela Corson. He actually concludes in there, I hope it can continue a little while longer, which I thought that was just a nice sarcastic touch by Jim. So for me, it's so-so again.
I dug this one, not maybe as much as The Spy, but that watery guitar from Krieger could have fit on the previous track. And again, it notes here just how it's a cycle. They're both wild child. They're gonna, have an offspring and start it all over again. So interesting note on the just cyclical nature of that.
Yeah, and that's going to take us to my favorite song on here. Spoiler alert, Indian Summer. It's actually one of my favorite Doors songs. I think this thing is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It has a sitar sounding vibe. I don't know if the sitar is actually in this or if Krieger just made a guitar sound like that. But it's a beautiful love ballad here, and just the overall vibe to it is just something pretty unique. I think the Doors haven't really touched on Indian music too much at this point in their career, so it stood out.
And basically, he loves her best, and he met her in the Indian Summer, and that's going to close the album out with the next track, Maggie McGill. Just like the first track, Roadhouse Blues, it's lyrics by Morrison, music by the Doors. A nice little upbeat thing to kind of finish this thing out.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Doors are the kings pretty much of the closers. This would be one of my least favorite closing.
It's not a bad song,
but still, we have some fun lines in here. Illegitimate son of a rock and roll star. Well, I'm an old blues man, and I think that you understand. I've been singing the blues ever since the world began. Again, going back to those Morrison lines that are a bit intriguing and just an enigma at certain points. And I thought it was a fine way to end the record on a bit of a more upbeat type of note, again contrasting with that Indian Summer that was a little lighter felt. So that's going to move us to our favorite tracks. What do you got?
I got Indian Summer, I got Roadhouse Blues, I got Ship of Fools, and I got Land Ho. I liked a lot of them.
Oh, I dig that, man. I'm also going to throw in Waiting for the Sun. That might be my favorite track on here, actually, just the entire vibe. And Peace Frog, of course.
Yeah, Peace Frog, throw that in there too.
As well, and that'll move us to our overall score.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite Doors albums. It may be my favorite. I'd have to listen to it a bunch more. I thought I listened to it a decent amount, but it's really, really grows on me. I'm going to go with an 8.75 on this one.
Ooh, I like that, man. I'm glad we didn't talk about
No,
this,
we did
but
not.
I'm with you. This actually is my favorite Doors album
right.
up to date. I think the mix in musical styles here, everything from blues to that signature organ sound that underlies, I think Krieger is the best I've ever heard him on this record. I'm going to be at an 8.5 for this. This is my favorite record of theirs up to this date, and I'm looking forward to LA Woman.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's only one left, guys. LA Woman. We're about to finish this discography out. It's a great ride.
So that'll be up relatively soon. And let us know what you think of Morrison Hotel in the comments down below. As always, Dad, appreciate the research.
Good time, man.
And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. We upload videos multiple times a week, have lists, live streams, a bunch of fun stuff here. And until next time, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Happy listening, my friends, and we will see ya.